Shit make my forehead look crazy. But look, the good news is you got an opportunity to get into Bitcoin right now. The bad news is Bitcoin is down, right? But that's good news for you. So all those people who've been sitting on the sideline thinking about getting in, or I was waiting for the pullback, here we go. So if you buy in at 55,500 and we go back to all-time highs, you're up 30%, right? 33%. That's a layup on your money. That's a layup on your money. That's a fillet. That's an easy lay. That's a fast break layup at that, right? So all-time high 74,000. Get in now. Boom. Bonjour. So get in now, and then when we hit all-time highs, your money has grown 33%. Now, remember, the game is fractal. You don't need a whole Bitcoin. You don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin, right? So if you put 10,000 in, you go up 33%. Yo, 10,000 just grew you $3,300. So now you got $1,300. You put 100,000 in, you up 33,000, right? So that's the way the game is played. Now, why do I preach about Bitcoin so much? Because Bitcoin is a solution to a problem. And what's the problem? The problem is inflation. Everybody in the world is subjected to inflation because the deeper in debt the government goes, the more money is in the whole ecosystem. And the more money that's in the ecosystem, the higher the cost of living goes. That's why we've been having a lot of... So if you don't understand the problem, you're not going to value the solution. The problem is inflation. So when we went on the gold standard, which we're not on anymore, when we went on the gold standard, all the countries in the world, they agreed that, okay, the US dollar is going to be backed by gold, and then we're going to back all the other currencies by the US dollar. Well, then we ended that in 1971. So because you don't have to be backed by gold anymore, you can just make as much money as you need to, like, or as that you want to, right? So the more the US government makes more dollars and more dollars and more dollars, and all these other currencies are backed by the US dollar, then they end up getting inflated even more than we do. Everybody in the world has the same problem. It's inflation. So money is borrowed into existence. So imagine I got 6 siblings and I ask each of them for $1 million. I have $6 million to spend, but then I got to pay them back, right? So in order to pay them back, I go to my cousin and borrow another $1 million. And he gonna say, bro, you don't make that much money. What are you doing? I'm gonna say, ask them, have I ever made a payment? As long as I can keep borrowing from the next person, then I can just keep this little scam going, right? You can't do that because it would be like you trying to pay off your credit card with another credit card. Eventually you're gonna get denied. But imagine you never, like you couldn't get denied. You can just run up the bill as far and as fast as possible. That's what the US government is doing. So the government goes deeper and deeper in debt. So that creates more money in the whole ecosystem. And then the prices of goods and services in the ecosystem, they slowly increase to meet all that new money coming in, and we call that inflation. So the deeper in debt we go, more inflation we gonna have. All right, now next, you gotta look at money like a network, right? Because people need to exchange money for goods and services. And all right, I got these dollars, but I need some milk. The guy who made the milk, maybe he needs some gas money, whatever. So we use the dollar like a network to, exchange goods and services. Now, how big that network is and how much of the network you own, it matters. So if somebody comes and tells you like, oh, I have $10,000, is that a lot of money or a little money? Well, it depends. 10,000 out of how much? If you have $10,000 and all the money in the world is $100,000, that's a lot of money. But if you have $10,000 out of $900 trillion, that ain't no money. So we don't think about how big the network is, right? So imagine if you have $10,000 out of 100, and then they just print off more money, and that 100 out of 100,000 goes to 200,000. Well, you used to own 10% of the network. Now you only own 5%, right? You're getting poor. They're diluting you. That's what happens with the US dollar every day. Every day you go to sleep, you wake up, there's more money in the ecosystem than there was the day before, AKA you woke up poor. Now imagine if you still got the same $10,000 and the total value of the whole network goes from 100,000 to 200,000, and your 10,000 goes to 13,000. You're going to start feeling like, oh man, I'm making progress. My money is growing. You're still being diluted, right? You're still being robbed because again, you still don't own 10% of the whole network like you used to. Now, if I own 1 Bitcoin out of 21 million Bitcoin, right? I own 1/21 millionth of the entire network. No matter how big or small the network gets, I own 1/21 millionth of it. The value of the network doubles, then my ownership stays the same. I own 1/21 millionth of it. You know what I'm saying? You can't be diluted. So if everybody in the world decides to wake up and say, damn, I need some Bitcoin because I'm tired of being diluted, I'm getting poorer and poorer every day, so they got to go buy it from somebody, right? Or they could buy it from a miner, but they go buy it from somebody and you still own the same percentage of the network. Nobody can dilute you. There's a lot of power in that. And also, it's not just the cost of goods and services that go up when there's more money in the ecosystem. Also, the cost of assets go up, right? So you see the stock market goes higher, real estate goes higher. Now, imagine if you don't own any assets, life is just getting harder and harder and harder because all that new money is pushing assets up, pushing the cost of living up, pushing everything up, and you don't have anything growing alongside of it. All right, so now, let's keep going with the scenario where they keep printing money, right? And it sends real estate up, and it sends the stock market up, but a company can always issue more shares, right? So you can be diluted in the stocks that you're holding. Or real estate, they can always build somewhere else, right? Now with Bitcoin, no matter how many people want the coin, they can't make any more of them, right? So the stock market can go up higher, 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 and Bitcoin, you can't extend this way how many coins there are. So what happens? The value of the coin grows as the demand grows, right? So this is the first time in human history we've had an asset where you cannot just change the supply. There's only 21 million. Nobody can change that. The dude that created Bitcoin himself can't come back and change that. You know, he's long gone, but he couldn't change that if he wanted to. So there's a lot of value in knowing that you cannot be diluted, because that's all everybody in this world is going through. They're being diluted, right? Every day they wake up, they're getting poorer and poorer and poorer because the cost of everything is going up and the wages aren't, right? Your dollars are basically ice cubes melting away, right? And that's your wealth melting away. And you're so busy, you're so caught up in the grind every day, you're just like, oh shit, I gotta go get me some more ice cubes. Or you can stop fucking with the ice cube. So I choose to save my wealth and my family's wealth into something that can't be diluted. You know, nobody can wake up and say, yo, I know you own 1/21 millionth of this whole thing, but we just gonna, you know, melt it down a little bit. Fuck no, it ain't happening, right? So, you got your entry. You got your entry. Like, if you care about this, you know, and which everybody should. But there's some good books out there. There's some good resources out there. So you can start with the Price of Tomorrow, the Bitcoin Standard, the Fiat Standard, Broken Money, the Philosophy of Bitcoin. For you Christians out there, read Thank God for Bitcoin. I know the title sounds crazy, but a very, 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 very good book. Very good book, so you can, you know, realize the importance of being a good steward with your money. And biblically, it says that you should, you know, and it's hard to do that if people are tinkering with the money. So there's some good books out there. So y'all do your research, man. But if you're coming, come on. One more thing I'm gonna tell y'all about is the halving, right? So the halving, what happens is every day there's new Bitcoin that are mined, right? So out of the 21 million, there's only gonna be 21 million of them. 19 million are already out there, right? So that leaves like 2 million, it's less than that, but to be mined every day. So think about mining like mining for gold, but on a computer, right? So anyway, there's a certain amount of Bitcoin that can be mined every day, and then the miners, they sell the Bitcoin once they mined it so they can pay for their operations, you know? So anyway, every 4 years, how many Bitcoin that are able to be mined every day, it falls in half. So as the demand for Bitcoin is going higher and higher and higher, and then the supply of it, how much new Bitcoin is coming into circulation, is falling. Plus, remember, if a lot of people are selling and nobody's buying, the price goes down, right? So that selling pressure, it falls in half too. So not only is the demand growing, the selling pressure is falling too. Hold on, I'm gonna pause this video because I'm walking by too many cars. Every 4 years, like I said, there's a halving event, right? So in 2016, there was a halving. 2012, there was a halving. 2016, there was a halving. Back in 2016, when the halving came around, Bitcoin was $600. Then we had a halving, right? And then about 18 months later, y'all remember when Bitcoin had ran up to like 20,000, like in 2018? That's probably like when the first time most people heard about that, right? So that was like 18 months after the 2016 halving. And one halving cycle, this is what I want you to pay attention to. Bitcoin went from $600 to $20,000. And then 2016 halving, so boom, 2020 halving, Bitcoin was about $6,000, right? So it had went up to 20,000 and it fell down to 3,000, popped back up to 6,000 around the 2020 halving, right? 18 months later, Bitcoin takes off and it goes up to the 68,000 all-time high, right? That was 2021. Most of y'all remember that too, right? So here's why I'm telling you this. In two halving cycles, we went from $600 to $68,000. 2 cycles. 600, 68,000. So imagine if you would have had, $10,000 in, $20,000 in back then, where your money would be at, you would have just held through 2 cycles. Now, July 5th, 2024 right now, right? So we just had a halving in April, right? 2 months ago, we had a halving. But remember I said that those run-ups, they take like about 12 to 15 months. So we haven't had the run-up yet, right? That'll probably be next year, right? So we'll go from like 60,000 to who knows, right? Now, check this out. That's the 2024 halving. We're in 2024 right now. So next year, we probably get the run-up. Then you got a 2028 halving. So that run-up from 2028 halving is probably going to be 2029. Then 2024 halving, 2028 halving, 2032 halving, right? So the run-up is probably going to be 2033. So we're in 2024 right now. So that means 9 years. In 9 years, we have 3 halving pumps, 3 halving cycles for the price to run. Now, if I just told you that in 2 halving cycles, we went from $600 to $68,000. Now we got 3 halving cycles within a decade, right? So for all you 20-year-olds out there, you're going to be 30 one day. All you 30-year-olds out there, you're going to be 40 one day. For you 60-year-olds, you're going to be 70 one day, right? This is, to me, a great opportunity to grow your money. Where do I think we end up? My guess is within that decade, we end up at a $5 to $10 million coin in 10 years. So in the next 10 years, okay, we get it. The supply is getting closer and closer to the 21 million number. And then the daily supply is falling every 4 years. Cool. So how do I think it's going to get from 60,000 or 55,000 to 5 to 10 million? Easy. More people are going to start figuring this out. More people are going to start figuring out, I'm being diluted. Now, it's not just people, it's corporations as well. They hold a lot of cash on their balance sheets, right? Or in their treasuries, right? People, corporations, churches, banks, governments, everybody's going to figure this out. So imagine if you're like China, right? And you're like, man, our economy is sinking because what the Americans are doing. Or if you're Russian, the economy is sinking or our money is losing its value because what the Americans are doing. They keep printing off more money. Putin said it recently, like, the Americans are weaponizing the dollar. Everybody in the world needs a solution to this problem. What's the problem? Inflation. Why do we have inflation? America keeps printing more dollars, right? Nonstop. Because it's not backed by anything, so you could just make as many of them as possible, right? So I believe as long as we have that problem, Bitcoin's going up, right? Now, here's the situation that the American government finds itself in. And you tell me if you think we're going to keep having this problem or not, right? As long as we have this problem, I'm in. So let's go back to my scenario where I borrow $1 million from each of my siblings, and now it's time for me to pay up. And the only way for me to pay up is to go ask one of my cousins for some money, right? So America, everybody who's bought these treasury bonds, right, the government owes them money plus interest. And in order for them to make that payment, they have to print off more money. So that'd be like me asking another cousin for some money to pay my siblings and my first cousin, then ask another cousin. Or another way that you could put it is in your personal financial life, let's say you pay all your bills on a credit card. Now, when a credit card bill is due, you open up another credit card to pay it off. So now you owe the first credit card plus the second credit card. Now, when that bill is due, you open up another credit card, right? So mathematically speaking, it's impossible for them to pay it off without borrowing more money. So they have to keep borrowing more money. So the borrowing money is inevitable, right? So if they have to keep borrowing more money, I know a few things to be true. One, the cost of living is going up forever. The cost of assets are going up forever. Now, I need to figure out what's the best asset to protect me from them printing all this money. You could be diluted in stocks. You could be diluted in real estate. Plus, real estate has taxes. For example, I own my house, $3 million in cash. I got to pay 50 grand a year just to maintain it. The insurance has doubled in the last 2 years. So I'm leaking like I'm leaking, right? If I say, hey, I got some money to put up, I'm gonna buy a house, but then the government just making me pay taxes every year on the house. So if I bought a house for $3 million, I gotta pay $50K in taxes. In 10 years, I pay $500,000. In 20 years, I paid $1 million, right? If it keeps going on, then I'm gonna have paid more money to the government for living in my house than actually living in my house. So with that being said, if you own a house free and clear and you gotta pay property taxes on it, you basically just renting your house from the government, right? Again, if you own your house free and clear, but you still got to pay taxes on it, you're basically renting your house from the government. So that's this isn't a debate about whether you should buy or rent, but to store your family's wealth inside of a house or a rental property isn't going to look too hot for most people, because they're going to be like, damn, well, it's still going to leak because I got to pay for this. I got to pay maintenance. I got to do this. Same thing with the stock market, right? A new CEO could come. You could put tariffs on the imports for the products. There's so many different things that can go wrong. So most people are going to find the solution to be Bitcoin. Now, you beat them to the punch, you get crazy wealthy, right? You ignore me if you want. Right now, 55,000, you'll be buying in at 2 million. So there's a saying that you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And I wish somebody would have sat me down and said, hey, bro, cut the bullshit. There's another saying in Bitcoin that says you come for the number go up, right? Basically, people are coming because they know the Bitcoin is going to go up. So they just try to enrich themselves. So you come for the number go up and you stay for the revolution, right? So think about how the American people are being fucked over because we have a greedy government who keeps printing money. They won't find any real solution. So our cost of living keeps going up. And in turn, everybody in the world feels that effect, right? So come for the number go up, stay for the revolution. On my little walk out here in France, man. Inflation is crazy out here too. Everybody in the world has the same problem. And we have a solution sitting right here that we can make the most of. So I hope that y'all learn and study and research what I just said. Don't take my word for it. Go research everything that I said, right? We're paying our bills by borrowing money. And then to pay back the money we borrow more money. Money is borrowed into existence. That's crazy, bro. All right, I'm out.